Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself, be true to you.
Happy whatever day it is that you're listening. In lieu of a live show on Wednesday due to some time constraints, we did a podcast, and this will be up. I will announce it. Well, of course, they'll already know, so why am I saying that? But anyway, so Jessica, yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man. I was not expecting it.
Yeah. You know what, though? You were a lot closer than I was.
I did. I have been saying for a while that it was going to be close. I just didn't think it was going
to be close in that direction. Yeah.
Exactly.
And of course, I woefully wrong. And have been wrong for months. I mean, not only on the show, but, I have done Custer's Last Stand on Facebook for a long time, and I have an avid, not all completely in agreement with me, obviously, but a lot of avid people who follow me on Facebook, and I've caught a lot of flack for it. So as it became obvious into the wee hours of Wednesday morning that I was wrong. I mean, I don't remember when I did this now. It might have been the next morning, but I did the mea culpa on Facebook and said, look, okay, let me just get this out of the way. I was wrong. I did throw in of course, I'm not the Lone Ranger. I mean, from every poll to pundit to whomever, we were all wrong. So, but yeah, I mean, this thing was totally, upended. It was just upended. I mean, just polls and everything just completely blew it.
Did you stay up till he accepted and everything too?
Oh man, I think I slept 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the whole full meal deal. And of course I ended by watching MSNBC.
I was watching MSNBC as well. That was,
that was
quite
hilarious.
Interesting. Yeah.
I had watched a little bit of ABC, Stephanopoulos and company. They were, I think, maybe the first ones to be put on 24-hour suicide watch. And then, of course, poor old Martha Raddatz almost broke into tears. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw her choking up, and I was like, at first I wasn't sure, because at first they hadn't put a bunch of states in as far as confirmed. So, and she was choking up before that. So I was like, is she sick? Is something happening?
Yeah. Those people, they see stuff before they'll call it in a lot of cases. Speaking of calling it, I was actually surprised because I kept kind of flipping back and forth. Fox was ahead of the curve, and that is not necessarily a good thing when you're calling states, because Fox historically has been extremely careful not to call stuff before they were completely convinced. But Fox was ahead of that thing all night long. Correctly so, it ended up being. But, they'd have him at, 2 whatever, and then ABC, NBC, whomever would be 18, 20 electoral votes behind. But Fox was correct. But, poor old Martha Raddatz, and I put a kind of a chin up, pep talk little thing on Facebook for her because, doggone it, she did her best. I mean, she fact-checked the crap out of Trump during that debate. She was wrong at least twice. I mean, she argued with him. She might as well have pulled a podium up next to Hillary and done a tag team. And she did her fellow liberal media sock puppets proud. So I don't think she has anything to be ashamed of. I mean, but these people are beside themselves, right? I mean, they just...
Oh, yeah. It's gotten over the top with a lot of people.
It's such a myriad of emotions, into the wee hours of the morning, and then, of course, yesterday. And on top of all of that, every once in a while, tell me this happens to you too, it just hits me again. Donald freaking Trump is going to be the president of the United States. I just can't, every once in a while, that just hits me. And I don't know that it's necessarily even bad as much as it's just kind of surrealistic.
It is. Well, I feel that too. And I keep going back to well, as it was happening, I couldn't help but think of the Simpsons episode because
Yeah.
I saw the episode when I was, it was years ago. And then everybody kept mentioning it. And then as this is I was like, is this really happening right now? I just kept thinking of that episode and I was like, this is real life right now.
I know. Art imitates life imitates art. Do you remember I talked a little bit, this goes back a couple of months, maybe 6 weeks ago, and I had actually written this story up when I saw it. But the Irish bookmaker that paid out early on a Hillary win, do you remember me talking about that?
Oh yeah. Oh man, that's going to be a disaster.
And they asked the guy, what if you're wrong? And he wouldn't give any numbers. And I put this in the article when I wrote it. He said that that would be the largest, political payout in bookmaking history. And they're paying it as we speak do you remember I wondered at the time out loud, I mean, why do that? Why pay out early other than to get headlines or whatever? I'm kind of guessing.
I think that's what they were doing.
Do
Oh no, I think that was, not a good idea.
No, not a good idea at all. Not a good idea at all. Before we get into the loony left and the goings on there, I do want to take issue with something that you wrote on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Let me read this to you. Okay. And I don't need to read it to you. As soon as I start, you'll know what it said, but I want folks to hear it. You said, look at how close it actually was, guys. Bernie would have, where am I here? Okay. Bernie would have taken it, as he even now is still more popular than Hillary. If our own party hadn't have worked against him, and if we would have stood, the shenanigans things, and if we would have stood up to the shenanigans, I think this could have easily been a very different day in America. I can't read today because I don't know what I am. Not saying this to rub salt in the wound, but to speak of the future. I would push back at you and say if Bernie had been the nominee, that Trump would have won by even a wider margin.
I mean, that's your opinion. I think I saw,
well, that's what I said.
You see how close, it was with Hillary even. And even I think because Michigan and New Hampshire can't get their stuff together right now, and we don't know exactly what the popular vote is, but right now Hillary's leading by almost 200,000 votes in the popular vote. I think, and that's for somebody that nobody particularly liked. I mean, they basically were Mitt Romney this time around. And so the Democrats weren't completely enthused about Hillary. There was a lot of scandal embroiled in the whole thing, and it was a problem. So I think if you would have had the absence of that, and somebody that people were very passionate about, which Bernie Sanders for the left was completely that person, I think that would have been an upset as well.
Okay, let me ask you this. Would you agree with me that there were a lot of people, I don't want to say that toggled between Trump and Hillary, but maybe even politically so, that would never vote for a socialist?
I do think that, but I also think that there would have been, I think that I think what won Trump the election was there were a lot of people that were undecided. There were a lot of independents, and there were people that actually liked Bernie Sanders' message, that ended up voting for Trump as a protest vote to Hillary. So I think it would have been really close, but I think Bernie would have won it.
I suspect that, sure, there were votes that went in both directions because they didn't like the other one. I mean, and we talked about that last week, polls that indicated there were more people that were voting against the other guy than were voting for their, and I say that in quotes, their guy. But I would also bet that there's not a lot of, people who view themselves as independents typically float politically between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party ideologically. I wouldn't guess that there are a lot of independent socialist thinking people. And Bernie is. I mean, he's a self-described, what's he call himself? A democratic socialist Democrat, I think he calls himself. But I mean, I think that, Hillary even said nonsense with everything, with all the free stuff. I don't know. We'll never know. But to your point, maybe what he would have lost with the whole socialist nonsense, he may have very likely picked up with the enthusiasm factor, which worked in Trump's favor as well. Would have been fascinating, wouldn't it?
I think that would have been an even more interesting election to watch than this one was. And this one was pretty interesting.
Well, I actually wrote about Bernie this morning, and this thing's starting to light it up, I think. Yeah. Put this up on Facebook. Bernie Sanders' reaction is my headline. Bernie Sanders' reaction to Donald Trump's election is not what anyone expected to hear. Now, yesterday morning, and the name escapes me because I didn't include his name in my article, but a top Bernie advisor said that he, quote, had nothing polite to say about Trump's victory. That was Wednesday morning. Last night on Bernie's website, I mean, it damn near reads like an endorsement till you get to the end of Trump. Let me read for you a little bit. Quote, Donald Trump tapped into the anger of a declining middle class that is sick and tired of establishment politics, economics, and establishment media. People are tired of working longer hours for lower wages, of seeing decent paying jobs go to China and other low wage countries, of billionaires not paying any federal income tax. Bless him, by the way, for qualifying what he just said, because I've got sick to death of Democrats saying billionaires not paying taxes. Billionaires pay capital gains taxes to the extent that they have capital gains. But anyway, I digress. Billionaires not paying any federal income taxes and of not being able to afford a college education for their kids, all while the very rich become more richer. To the degree that Mr. Trump is serious about pursuing policies that improve the lives of working families in this country, I and other progressives are prepared to work with him. That was on Bernie's site. Now, he ended it with, to the degree that he pursues racist, sexist, xenophobic, and anti-environment policies, we will vigorously oppose him. But that sounded pretty good.
It did. Except for the end, yeah. I think also that was something that surprised me, is that Hillary conceded so quickly, without Pennsylvania actually, Pennsylvania was still in between. It wouldn't have made a difference. Well, Pennsylvania is what put him over, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you...
Oh, that's weird.
And Elizabeth Warren came out and extended a peace pipe.
Yes, I was actually really impressed with the speeches that, I got that, by the way. I was really interested. I thought Trump's speech was, surprisingly presidential. I thought Hillary gave a great concession speech, and Obama gave a great speech too. I was just kind of baffled by the whole thing.
Of all of those, I think Obama's was kind of the most strident in that he found it very difficult. You could tell on the inside he was angry.
Okay, I couldn't see. I didn't see him do it. I heard it on the radio, so I didn't see it.
He just is pissed because he could give a damn about Hillary, because the Clintons and the Obamas hate each other. All Obama cared about was his legacy, right? And he was watching that swirl down the toilet of history as he was watching the electoral votes pile up for Trump, because Obamacare is going to be gone, amnesty is going to be gone, 35% top corporate tax rate is going to be gone, the environmental nonsense is going to be gone. All of that stuff is going to be gone.
You bring up a good point, actually. With his legacy, because I was like, maybe that was Hillary's like one silver lining. She was like, you know what? Obama's not going to be able to talk about his legacy anymore, because they do hate each other. That's true.
They hate each other with a passion. So, but still, Obama. Well, remember we did the story a month or so ago. He was getting after blacks if they don't get out and vote for him to protect his legacy. He was going to take it. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just black people. He said it to blacks, but I was watching the Spanish channel, and there was ads that ran that in there. It's like, oh, it's for our people. And, in Spanish, it's roughly translating it. It was just like, this is for our people, and this is for the legacy that was started with our president that is, looking out for the minorities. And I was like, really, guys? I mean, that's the one thing that I saw in this election that really, surprised me. Not surprised me, because I've been seeing it for years and years, but to the extent that now, I mean, the Spanish language, all the Spanish language channels, now there's more than one, and they are really in the tank for one party, and I don't think that is good for anybody involved.
No, and it's also the reason that as we've talked millions of times, I mean, Democrats, this whole again, I want to call it de facto amnesty, but, letting in as many people as possible and the dreamers and the whole bit, and as I've also said millions of times, if you had Gallup and Quinnipiac and Marist and everybody down on the border figuring out that 75% of people coming in here and are already here, and by that I mean Latinos, would vote Republican, you'd have Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary, and Chuck Schumer and all those people down there locked arm in arm from the Pacific to the Gulf of Mexico, doing their best to keep every Hispanic out of this country that they possibly could. Right? I mean, that's just, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But I got a kick out of it. When I put this up, I put the Bernie thing up, and then, I just referenced, Pocahontas's statements. And of course, she called him a thin-skinned racist bully a couple of months ago. I put something in this article from Obama just about 2 weeks ago. He called him an uninformed and outright wacky. And of course, Hillary, the deplorables. You know what? I think that became a rallying cry. That hurt her. I mean, not only is it now an infamous, stupid thing that she said, but the Trump-a-loompas, they jumped all over that deplorable thing. And
it wasn't just that. I mean, it wasn't just that, but they, the people that were truly still undecided were also like, how can you just write off half the a big group of the population that way? I kind of want to vote against you because what if I don't say something that you like or something? You know what I'm saying? I think that happens.
And this is how liberal elites really think, though. Remember in 2008, Barack Obama got caught on an open mic at a fundraiser in San Francisco. His infamous, of course, it didn't hurt him, but his infamous gun and Bible clutching Midwesterners. This is how liberal elites think about the majority of this country. By the way, have you seen the map? I think I put it on Facebook earlier, and I remember it from 2012. But people are programmed to think about, because this is what determines who wins, but think about the state races and then, the electoral votes attached. And then, of course, people also think about the popular vote. But I put one of those maps on Facebook this morning, no boundaries, no state boundaries, no whatever. And it just showed virtually by precinct who won where. And if you look at that map, the entire map is basically red, except for large urban areas, obviously on the East Coast and the West Coast, and then just a couple of places down south. The rest of that and Chicago, but the rest of that map is blood red. And a friend of mine said, "So what you're telling me, basically, if we just cut the crust off the country, we're good to go." I thought that was pretty good.
That was actually pretty funny.
Yeah. But that's why we have the Electoral College, conservatives. That's why the Electoral College matters, because if we did not have the Electoral College system, you'd have New York City, not most of San Francisco, LA, I'm sorry, I was going to say not most of California. You and I sound like we've had too much caffeine, but you take the major metropolitan areas of California, New York, maybe throw in Houston and Chicago. Those Democrats would decide every presidential election for the rest of time. We have to have representation, and that's where the Electoral College protects the rest of the country, Jessica.
I think so. I don't know. I think that there's definitely a room for improvement in our election system. I do think that, I think also another thing that hurt, the Democrats a lot were you saw in this election, much more clearly how in the tank the media is for also one party. And even like the people doing the polls, they really wrote off a what turned out to be a huge part of the population, and that's why they were so dumbfounded. I mean, it wasn't hard to see actually how close it was if you sat there and actually talked to people and listened to them, because that's why I came up with my idea of it. I talked to people from every side and I actually listened to what they're saying. And when I was doing that, That's why I was like, this is actually going to be really close. That's all they had to do. I mean, that's their job. You would think that they would at least try that.
You know, of course, crap, MSNBC, but, you know, people talking about, well, and Hillary even mentioned the glass ceiling nonsense yesterday morning. But, you know, somebody said, well, the country isn't ready for a female president yet. No, the country wasn't ready for a corrupt president yet.
They weren't ready for another Clinton.
No, and you had because Obama was black. You know, all this nonsense. Look, this, in my opinion, was a repudiation of liberalism to the extent of, you know, so-called progressivism in this country. I mean, people said, no, it's enough. And you can just tick through issue after issue.
I think it's even bigger than that. I think it was a repudiation of the establishment as a whole.
That's true as well. That's why we talked about it being a perfect storm the other day. Yeah. But, I mean, people said no. And people, you know, I am reinvigorated about this country right now because I was convinced, as part of why I said there's no way with Trump, that we've gone too far down the path. You know, the gate is open, and the nonsense that's been going on over the last 8 years, it's almost to a point of no return. And I said also, as did others, that had she won, had any Democrat won, it may have been changed generationally. And now she's not going to be able to stack the Supreme Court. Well, now, we're going to take our chance with Trump, aren't we, conservatives? Because a lot of you don't believe him.
That's what we're going to see, yeah. I think it is taking a huge chance. It could be, like I said, it remains to be seen. It could be that it's as terrible as a lot of people were warning us about. It could be really great. It does remain to be seen. We don't know what he's going to do.
What I do know he's going to do, he's going to surround himself with some good people. And the question is, will he listen to them? I mean, I think Rudy Giuliani probably shaping up to be Attorney General. There's going to be some good stuff going on. Newt is probably going to be in the mix somewhere. Mike Flynn and the like. But the left is definitely beside itself. They don't know what to do. And I think we should probably, I mean, you've seen the dopey protests going on last night, right? These people are beside themselves.
Well,
but
some of them were
them
were dopey. Some of them were outright dangerous, and I think that's not right either.
People need to die. Yeah, people need to die.
Well,
just unbelievable. Go ahead.
I just think that that I do want to speak to because there are people that have gotten violent over this. There are people that immediately, as the results came in, they were like, unfriend me on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's not the answer either. I mean, that's going to lead to more divide. You need to, listen to the speeches that Obama and Hillary themselves gave. That's not the way to react to this. It's, you got to keep going.
And what were we warned about from the media? If Trump loses, it was going to,
oh yeah, if Trump loses, that the Trump people are the ones that are going to be doing this, and how wrong that is to do, and now they're being hypocrites. It's ridiculous.
No, liberals being hypocrites? No. Hey, we have a spokesperson from the left who was pretty upset. We happen to have an exclusive clip.
Oh yes.
Of Miley Cyrus, you guys, and Miley was pretty broken up about Hillary losing. I don't know if I can listen to this and not break down, but let's hear Miley Cyrus' take on the whole thing.
Okay. So probably like most people that are going to see, well, maybe not, because given the result, maybe I really am different, and maybe a lot of people that I'm surrounded by think with open minds and open hearts like I do. And I do want to say that I've been very vocal for my support for everyone besides Donald Trump. Heavily supported Bernie, heavily supported Hillary. And I still think that in her lifetime she deserves to be the first female president. And that's what makes me so sad. Is that I just wish that she had that opportunity because she's fought for so long. And because I believe her when she says that she loves this country. This is all she's ever done. She's given her life to make it better. But like Donald Trump so ironically played after his speech, it said you can't always get what you want. And happy hippies, we adjust and we accept everyone who they are. And so, Donald Trump, I accept you. And this hurts to say, but I even accept you as the president of the United States, and that's fine. That's fine, because I think now I want to be a hopeful hippie, and I want to be hopeful that you will step into. And President Obama, Mr. Obama, I want to say thank you for everything you've done in these years. But please just treat people with love, and treat people with compassion, and treat people with respect. And I will do the same for you. And anyway, anything you ever want to talk about or understand, maybe people that don't think the same way that you and some of the people that support you do, please, if you want to open your mind and you want to open your heart, I would love to give you a key. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hillary, for inspiring all of us.
Oh my god.
Hillary, please, thank you for inspiring me. So, give me a break. Let's go to a break. Miley, I love you.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself, be true to you. The devil is a good man with the devil inside, and I'll be a good man without you.
Okay, back by popular demand with some excellent and incisive insight and post-election analysis is my pal, fellow IJRer, Virginia Cruda. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
I'm sure that for everybody.
Well, you know what? Mine kind of started out great. I mean, like as I said on Facebook yesterday, within a 6-day span, my beloved Cubs won the World Series, and then that happened in the wee hours of Wednesday morning. So, were you shocked completely?
Not really. I mean, if you had told me at the very beginning of the day on Tuesday, that it's kind of like the frog in boiling water thing. Like you don't notice it quite as much when you're in the middle of it. So once we started watching returns come in, and little things started to flip our way, then it was kind of like, okay, well, this could happen. And it wasn't.
Sure. Yeah, it was a gradual
right.
thing.
But if you had told me Tuesday morning, Donald Trump's going to win and he's going to blow Hillary's doors off in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, I would have been like, no.
Yeah. Oh, I'd been shocked. You know.
Right.
You know what else? What else? Veteran watchers of election night stuff, I think, learn to do is we know that they know stuff before they say it, right? Before statements are called, they're looking at exit polls and they have data available. And the way they were talking, way before it was a foregone conclusion, you knew it was going to happen. I mean, but again, this was like what, even maybe 10 o'clock at night or whatever. But it didn't actually till Pennsylvania fell. Was it official? But wow, yeah. So
yeah.
I just have mixed emotions because, as is the case with millions of people in this country, I was more wanting to vote against it. And of course I voted, and that was a vote against Hillary Clinton. It was not a vote for Donald Trump. So, I'm euphoric that the Clintons are finally riding the hell off into the political sunset, never to be seen again. I'm euphoric that we can now halt 8 years of so-called progressivism, hopefully. I am, every once in a while, just hits me, Donald freaking Trump is going to be president of the United States.
Yeah, that is kind of, it's one of those things that you kind of have to laugh at it because, 20 years ago, if somebody had said that, or even 5 years ago, this is
The day he announced his candidacy.
Right.
Right.
I remember listening to that announcement speech, and I'd be like, because he talked for like an hour and a half before he actually said anything.
Yeah, and he's going to be he's going to have to adjust,
Right.
I've heard like Reince Priebus is going to be his chief of staff. They're going to be having a heated meeting with Nancy Pelosi, and Donald's going to go, Nancy, you're fired. And then Priebus is going to lean over and go, Donald, you can't do that. That
right.
isn't, yeah, it doesn't.
Although I would like to see that. I'd like to see the look on her. Honestly, I'm basing this on assumptions about Botox, but I don't know that her expression would
go there too. Yeah.
I don't know that her expression would actually change, but it would still be funny to watch and tell her that.
See, I was thinking Botox, but in a different direction, because I was thinking, like, why the hell doesn't she pull a Harry Reid? Why didn't she just get the hell out? And then I got thinking maybe her brain is probably so riddled by Botox seepage that she doesn't.
I don't know. I wasn't going to go there, but right. No, it's definitely been an interesting week, though. I mean, and my husband, who is a baker, he was supposed to go to work on Wednesday morning at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So at 11:30, he's up saying, "What's going on in Pennsylvania? What's going on?" What? Like,
you messaged me. Yeah, it was like
I know he was still awake, and he was asking me questions, and of course I'm trying to work at the same time, so I'm like, I can't answer all your questions. I'm not looking at Pennsylvania right now. But I, and as loath as I am to do this, Meghan McCain actually nailed the analysis on Outnumbered yesterday.
I did not see that.
She was talking about how did the media get this so wrong? Because you could see on their faces as they were calling these returns, it wasn't just that they were upset by them; they were surprised by them.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I've spoken to people, and this is Meghan McCain was saying that she had spoken to several people within the media saying, oh, well, we don't really know any Trump supporters, therefore he must not have that much support. Like,
right.
Well, that's because you don't know anybody who makes less than $500,000 a year, and you don't speak to people who live outside New York City and the Beltway. Of course you don't know Trump supporters. That doesn't mean they're not there. It just means you haven't stepped outside the bubble. So the media, and that's really, and this is kind of, I'm not trying to necessarily promote IJR at the moment, but that's what Alex and Bubba were thinking when they started us out, saying, hey, there's this whole country out here that nobody's talking to. And they're missing a lot of real people. And Trump found them.
Yep. Oh, yes, he did. And, people have said that, and even the media has done that analysis that you just went through of DC, of inside the Beltway. But what the media hasn't gotten is that it's true of themselves as well, right? The media does not really understand the pulse of this country. And right. I was talking at the top of the show, that map, not of states, but just remove all of the state boundaries and just show all of the precincts throughout the country that were red. And if you get away from the urban areas in the east and in the west, and maybe a bit down south in Chicago, a little around, and the entire country is red, right? Which is an exact argument for the Electoral College. Because if not, New York and California would decide every presidential election for the rest of the time.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And poor Obama. I mean, he's got to be the most distraught person on the planet, right? Because all he's been worried about is his legacy, and that is as those electoral votes piled up, he continued to see the toilet of history swirl faster and faster, taking with it Obamacare and amnesty and every other damn thing that he's rammed through and or lied about.
Yeah. Well, and
what?
I think this is really funny. When you mentioned Obamacare, Justin Charters, another IJR, posted something when Trump was elected. He's like, so long Obamacare, so long ISIS, so long, all this stuff. And somebody commented on it. Well, I hope that if he really does get rid of Obamacare, that he at least replaces it with something better, because I've gotten a great deal out of this, and and somebody's like, okay, but my premiums have gone up every year, and the guy's like, well, then you're doing it wrong.
No, well, you're not for
doing
yours.
It wrong.
That's right.
Right. And I've said it from the very beginning. I said, look, there are going to be plenty of people who can, as Obama said, find policies that are $70 a month. There are people out there who can find them. Mm-hmm. What you need to remember is that if you routinely are able to pay your mortgage, your car payment, and eat in the same calendar month, you're going to be subsidizing those people.
Look, Obamacare was
designed as a redistribution system.
It was designed to fail. Yes, it was the beginning of the largest redistribution system in the history of mankind. And the ultimate objective was single-payer health care. They said it behind closed doors. Obama is on YouTube saying it 6 or 8 years before it came to fruition. It was designed to fail, and it would collapse under its own weight. Obama said way back, well, he may not even have been a U.S. senator yet. His objective was single-payer. The country wasn't ready for it. It might take 10 years. It was doomed to fail anyway. So, but that's just, so.
Right.
Therein.
Well, and I think they looked at it two ways. They're like, well, if it works, then we redistribute the wealth and no one's the wiser. And if it doesn't work, we get single payers. So win-win.
Yeah.
That was kind of, the ultimate goal is single payer, but in the process, we can redistribute a bunch of wealth.
And guys like Zeke Emanuel and the other architects of stuff, they knew full well that ultimately it would work. I mean, anybody that knows anything about risk management as it relates to risk pools, knew that it couldn't work. It was doomed to fail. I mean, it's like, I used to use the analogy, if your next door neighbor keeps getting in car wrecks all the time, and his premium is the same as yours because you're subsidizing him. Same thing with subsidizing people who are in poor health. You're not getting young people to want to do that. I mean, it's just the thing's designed to fail from the beginning, and either by lack of participation or by causing the insurance companies to go under, because it just couldn't happen. I mean, look at UHC is pulling out next year, the largest healthcare insurer in the country. But anyway, so that's just one aspect of his legacy. That guy, a good friend of mine, has said for a couple of years, he goes, Jimmy Carter lived long enough to realize that he wasn't the worst president in history.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I think this will cement that, because everything that he did that was his so-called, quote, signature piece of legislation or this or that, it's going to be undone. What did this guy accomplish? Other than the world, everywhere you look, is far more dangerous and unsettled than it was before he stepped his first step into the Oval Office. What has he accomplished?
Well, he forced my mother-in-law to go to be uninsured. She posted something about it today. And now they own a family business. My in-laws and the business where my husband works and will eventually own. And she says this morning she received her Blue Cross notification.
Yeah.
Okay, she and her husband alone, their premiums are $24,000 a year.
That ridiculous?
That's a salary.
Yeah.
Okay, they pay people at their business the same amount that they're paying for their insurance premium. The out-of-pocket is $15,000, and the copay is double.
Yeah, and look at the deductibles that people have now.
Mm-hmm.
It's all insane. But you know what? It could not happen to a nicer guy, and it's a shame that, because again, it was a scheme from the beginning. But I mean, man, you just tick down the list. De facto amnesty. It will now be, and again, we're gonna be taking a chance with Trump as it relates to Supreme Court nominees, for example. but we weren't going to have to guess with Hillary, right? We knew the type of justices that she would nominate. How can it not be better for conservatives, even if they have to roll the dice a bit, that Donald J. Trump is in that office instead of Hillary Rodham Clinton? I mean, I just don't think we can lose in that respect.
Yeah. And
So-
no, that doesn't mean we get complacent.
No.
We have to obviously keep her feet to the fire, or keep Trump's feet to the fire.
Yeah, look, the Republicans got 18 months, maybe 2 years. And the midterms are not kind to the party that hold the White House anyway. All one
No,
they do
they're
is,
not. And,
Yeah.
and in fact, what is it? W is the only one in recent history who
held, yeah,
was able to, actually he had increases at his first midterm.
yep. And you look
that,
at, I mean,
but that was right after 9/11, so it kind
That's
of makes
true.
sense because
Yeah.
he likes stability. That's the other stability. That's the other thing. You see everybody freaking out about the stock market like 20 minutes after
yeah,
the election.
and look at it. Look
Like,
at it
are
today.
you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It always bounces back because the stock market likes stability. So when you see an incumbent run for re-election, there's barely a hiccup when they win.
Market- The Dow closed at a record high.
But as soon as you change, there's going to be a hiccup. There's a sharp drop and a sharp return, and it always bounces back.
There was also emotion going on in the middle of the night. That whole thing was uncertainty and the futures and the whole bit. But yeah, it's stability. I don't know. We're going to see. I just think that dark days.
Well, no, I'm just saying that the market likes stability.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when
no, no.
when they see
Yeah,
a change in the
absolutely.
White House, there's always going to be a dip, and then things get back to normal. It corrects, and that's kind of how it works. So, yeah, I think just the people freaking out about it. Everybody wants to get crabby about stuff right away, and I'm kind of enjoying the freaking out in the.
What do you think about Hillary's speech?
Well, I have a hard time listening to her and taking her seriously. I'm
Right.
not sure that she meant much of it, but it
No.
wasn't bad.
No, for her it
Um,
was good.
Yeah, it was much less divisive than it could have been. Obviously, because it could have been really bad.
She did look genuinely emotional, but that's probably just more feeling sorry for herself for losing it. But yeah.
Well,
And then
I thought
I thought Obama came across strident. If you read what he said versus saw him say it, and this is just me, maybe because I cannot stand that guy, but he's just pissed, right? And he just seemed, yeah.
Definitely. And I don't know. I have a hard time taking either one of them seriously, as far as that's concerned.
Did you see the clip they released from the Oval Office chat today?
Well, I think Emily posted it in
Is it up?
Slack of the interns crying.
Yeah. The clip also from how when they're done meeting in the Oval and they're sitting there in chairs, whether it's Netanyahu and Obama or whomever, and this was supposedly, I guess, the first time these people ever met one-on-one.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. I mean,
yeah, they don't run in the same circles, right?
Well, they kind of do, because I mean, the Clintons and Trump were
true.
buddy, but just Obama doesn't talk to people that. I mean, I think it's more that Obama is very picky about who he hangs out with,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not in the way that you and I would be picky.
How would
Like,
we?
I mean, I tend to not associate myself with people who are anti-American.
Sure.
That's kind of by choice. But Obama's values are so different.
That's his
like,
wheelhouse.
Yeah, his not that it's anti-American necessarily, because I'm sure some of the people that he would consider worthy of a conversation are not necessarily anti-American. But it's more of if you don't meet his intellectual and Like, you have to be at a certain intellectual and societal level to be worthy of
That's
it.
right. He has that going on, but let's get back to this anti-Americanism thing.
Right.
I don't think that, and I agree with you.
You like that one, huh?
Well, no, I mean, I agree with you to the extent that I don't think that he's actually anti-American, like people say. What I think he is he's definitely a globalist. And the things about America that he thinks get in the way of globalism, he disdains. Right?
Oh, right.
And I think
the problem is they're also the things that most red-blooded Americans value.
Like freedom and a strong military and all of those kinds of things. But no, I'm just saying, I mean, I'm trying to give him the benefit. Well, hell, he hates us.
Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
There's not much point.
No, he doesn't. But I mean, the guy's a globalist, and maybe he'll move to Sweden or Switzerland or something.
Well, he did say something about moving somewhere. I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm not really holding out hope, though, because I actually had to write that up this morning, all the celebrities who promised to move places.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all backing off.
Amy Schumer said she was just kidding, you know?
Well, you know, at least she's well, technically she's a comedian. I don't know if, I mean, that's about as funny as anything else she said. But there's, Chelsea Handler was crying about.
Did you see you obviously saw the Miley Cyrus clip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of fun.
We played that right before we went to break. But so who put that up on IJ? That's got like 500,000.
I don't even know. I think Kayla might have done it yesterday.
Yeah.
Somebody did. But, and I've got it in my article as well, her little, rant. No, my favorite, I don't know if you saw the one that Benny posted about the YouTube sex ed star or something.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, she went from 0 to 60 really fast. Let me see if I can find it. I'll read her tweets minus the coarse language.
While you're looking for it, you did see who
it really is.
It was James Woods' tweet with Miley with the blow-up dildo thing. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. Okay. Lacey Green. She's a Democrat, a social justice activist, and a YouTube sex ed teacher. This is what she tweets at 10:15 p.m. November 8th. Regardless of the outcome, we are clearly a deeply divided and broken country. So much work ahead to mend, heal, and restore the U in the USA. 3 hours later. We are now under total Republican rule. Textbook fascism. F you, white America. F you, you racist, misogynist pieces of you-know-what. Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 hours. That's all it took. I'm betting there was some alcohol involved, but...
Yeah, you think. Yeah, kind of like when Cher does her drunk tweets. I love that.
Oh, she did a couple of good ones, too, except for she won't say Donald Trump's name. Instead, she uses a little graphic that's a toilet every time she wants to say Trump.
Does she? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Bette Midler out and about? She's another.
Oh, God, probably not. And there's a bunch of celebrities that went dark after the election, like Mandy Moore. I'm like, okay, nobody cared what she was saying anyway. And all of a sudden, right?
I sent a couple of nice messages to Seth Meyers. He's been pretty brutal.
Oh, now see what I appreciated. There were a couple people, and this is like Bryan Cranston, who said he couldn't imagine if Trump won, and he was probably going to move, and et cetera. He was going to go to Canada. He said this at some interview. But then last night he's like, "Look, I'm disappointed. I thought we were better than this, but we need to work hard as a country, and we still need to move forward." Mm-hmm. He was very, very pleasant about it. He up to the election, he was like, "Look, you can't vote for this guy. You can't vote for this guy. He's awful. Don't vote for him." But then the first thing he said when the results came in was, "Look, we still have to live with each other." So I can respect that. I do. I may not agree with him. It's like George Clooney. His politics are horrible, but you can have a conversation with the guy about them because he's not going to call you stupid because you don't agree with him.
What do you
He's going to talk.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to guess, obviously it's is Donald Trump going to be a successful president? I mean, is he gonna get stuff done? What do you think? I mean, part of me thinks that he might be a sleeper, that this guy might actually, I mean, I don't think he's going to be Ronald Reagan, but part of me thinks this might not suck.
Here's the thing. I am a Calvin Coolidge girl.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would say is that the successful president does very little.
Yeah, so now we need some stuff done. We need some stuff.
Well, right. And here's the thing, and I think this is really interesting, because at the last debate, I was watching, and when they asked him would he overturn Roe v. Wade, he said he would appoint Supreme Court justices, and they might do that.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was the first indication I had that he actually understood the constitutional role of the president.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are presidents who would, by executive order, do things like that.
No.
No, well, not overturn Roe v. Wade.
No, I'm kidding. I'm being facetious. I'm talking about Barack Obama.
And I don't think, but I think a lot of people's fears, a lot of conservatives' fears, was that Donald Trump would be an authoritarian, and that answer right there led me to believe that he may actually have an understanding of what he's supposed to do.
I think he's a little smarter than he gets in his own way. He's his own worst enemy when he's campaigning. But I
agree. Absolutely.
And you've heard people after person, Rudy Giuliani and others that say, get Donald Trump, get him away from the camera, behind closed doors. He's a great negotiator. He's polite. He's this. He's that. Maybe we're going to see a different Donald Trump.
I hope so. I mean, I don't want to see a guy back down from this. I'm not going to take crap from anybody. I like that. That's the part of him that I like, especially in regard to foreign policy.
Exactly.
Because we have strayed so far from that, I mean, we really haven't had that. We had a little bit of that in George W. Bush. We definitely didn't have it in Clinton. We didn't have it in Obama. You saw a little bit in HW as well.
Yeah.
And definitely in Reagan. But this is something that we really haven't embraced as a country since Vietnam even.
Yeah. I mean, Obama became a laughing stock.
Right. What red line?
But do you ever see the old Bugs Bunny, like with Yosemite Sam? He keeps backing up, drawing the line, till he goes beyond the. That's Barack Obama, and Putin, he was Putin's, what, and so, yeah, I mean, look, the bar has been set in the minds of conservatives, at least. I mean, the bar is pretty low, in terms of just doing better than Obama did, as it relates to foreign policy and tax policy and immigration and everything else.
I'm pretty sure, and this is, I have friends who might disagree, and what's interesting, the social media response to the election has really kind of opened my eyes. Not that I wasn't really paying attention before, but I don't know if you noticed this. There are a lot of liberals who are very upset about the election. Obviously.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But I think that, at least on my page, I've seen far more hyperbolic and just out there responses from conservative never-Trumpers.
Oh yeah.
And I got one yesterday who was like, well, y'all did it, and this is the worst mistake. Somebody actually posted, in all seriousness, the worst day in American history was 9/11, and the second worst day was 11/9. Like, I'm like, I realize you're a millennial, but dear God, December 7th, 1941, ring a bell?
Ring a bell? Hey, speaking of bells, I hate to do this because we get wrapped up and I don't watch. The bell is about to go off. Come back next week and let's talk some more about this. You're kind of like my IJR regular now that Frank is gone. Except I've had Frank on too. Virginia, I gotta kick you out of here.
All right, I'll see you later.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Okay, Jessica, we're long. Let's get out of here. See you guys Monday.
To the city. I think it's time to get away.